Hello, BookTube. Got a little bit of mail for you today on a warm, sunny Friday that is immediately following Boston's heat wave. So it's warm and sunny, but it's not a ferocious end of the world out there. The heat has abated, and the humidity has been steadily going down, which is great. That is great. A genuine heat wave, I'm sure that the one that we're coming out of now, of course, real heat waves don't just end like a light switch, but we are coming out of it. There's hot weather ahead for this week. There's temperatures approaching 90, but it won't be like this. And I'm sure this is not the last heat wave that Boston will get. I'm sure that we're due for others of longer duration. This was 3 days that, I don't know, I'm an Eastern tenderfoot, so heat waves like this discombobulate the normal routines of the day. They really do. For me, they really do. Because I have a little dog who she's a warrior, she's a killer, and she doesn't admit defeat or slow down at all, and yet she needs to. She's really sensitive to the heat. She won't admit it, but she really is. So I have to guard whether or not she overexerts herself, and also whether or not she's just hot when we're in a room. I don't want to look over at the chair where she's sleeping right now or anywhere else and see her just sitting there panting. I don't want to see that. So that was a struggle. That won't be a struggle for the next couple of days, but boy, oh boy, even our first morning walk today, the heat wave had not let go of its clutches. It was still holding on with monstrous humidity and monstrous heat. That has been filtering out throughout the day. I think tonight will be fairly cool, fairly nice. And a little bit an example of closing the barn door after the horses got away. This morning, I gave my little dog a thorough trim. Her hair, she's the first dog I've ever had that needs trimming. Hair to be trimmed. Her hair, she's a terrier, and her hair just grows out all the time. So she'd look like a fuzzball chia pet if I didn't regularly trim her. But I can't bring her to a professional groomer and just leave her there. No. I don't know how any dog owner could do that. Unless maybe your dog is more complacent. She would panic. She would be terrified and grieved. It would be horrible. The emotions she would be feeling would be horrible. I would never do it to her. So I do it myself. It's been a learning curve for both of us. I do it myself. And she's usually pretty good about it. She very much does not like it. Trimming is the number one thing we do that she doesn't like. But once I get going and she realizes that I'm not hurting her, that I'm not even nicking her, and that she mostly calms down. And so when she did that this time around, I trimmed her good and properly, up and down. The belly is the part she hates the most because I have to lay her flat on a chair, and she's totally exposed, and I'm clipping fur right next to her nipples. You'd cringe too. But not only did I do that, not only did I give her a good trim, we have one more session I want to do, so that she isn't wearing bell-bottoms anymore. I want to do one more session, but I'm not going to do it all at one time. And then when I was done with that, I gave her a bath, which she used to hate a lot more than she does. Now she realizes, she's really smart, she realizes that the bath is pleasant in and of itself, and that afterwards she's going to feel much better. So she barely resists the bath at all. A token sour look, but that's it. I put her in a male tub, and we do it in the sink. There's no Battle of Normandy that goes on in the bathtub like I did with so many other dogs. Instead, it's just easy. It's done in 10 minutes. She feels a lot better. For the trim and the bath, she feels a lot better. So we're ready for however hot it gets next week. But we've got a little bit of mail here. A couple of things that I've been waiting for that did not occur. Not arrived today, but I did get the New Yorker with this great Tomine cover where the young girl is embarrassed by her parents. And Tomine has left nothing out here. The artificially ripped jeans, the massive drinks, the shaped glasses, the t-shirts for rock concerts that these two are way too old for. This thing, that is just sublime that she's embarrassed. She's dressed normally. They're the ones who are acting like... I think the title is Forever Young. Eternal Youth. And this issue has a bunch of things in it that I'm sure will appeal to me. There's a long review of that Charles Taylor book, Cosmic Connections, that I'll be very interested to see. That book, it wanted to do a whole lot for me that it did not end up doing. But there were two terrific cartoons this time around that I want to show you. Yes, one is reliably great, Roz Chast. This is Your Parents' Lives Before You Were Born. We've got 4 panels here with a mother and a father talking to each other. Life certainly is dull. Yep. If only there was something to do. But there isn't. Maybe something will happen someday. Who knows? Do we even exist? Oh, I doubt it. You know, the thing that makes that funny is that young people in the 21st century actually do believe that. They believe that not only about their parents, they believe it about the world. The whole world. They think, well, okay, I'm 14 and I now have a Twitter account. So it's time to start fighting against racial injustice in the United States. It's time to start doing that. Or I'm 15. I'm on Instagram now. So it's time to start worrying about the environment. You just, you know, they honestly do think that way. That before you were born, before you came into the world, none of us did anything. None of us thought anything at all. You have to blaze the trail. You know it all. And then there was this other one. This is just great. You've got the evil queen from Cinderella looking at a mirror on the floor, and the caption is, "Mirror, mirror on the floor, when will I learn how to use a power drill?" I love it. So I will read that Charles Taylor piece. Maybe it will teach me something. Also, the New Yorker, for me anyway, has been a bit of a run for pretty good fiction. The short story in this issue is by Roddy Doyle, and he's been phoning things in for the last 15 years. So I don't know if that streak is about to end. I haven't read it yet, but I was about to say I'll report back, but I actually will. I'll probably write up this issue for my literary blog, Steve Reads, which is now, according to David Murphy, that is now reliably linked in my channel info. In case you want to go over there. It's $5 a month. I think you will consider your money well spent. And then we've got packages. We've got 1 manila envelope and 1 box. So let's see what we have in this. Oh, this first one is 2 things. Great. Okay. Okay, so this first one is for October. Oh, great. This is Robin George Andrews. It's kind of a weird cover for a W.W. Norton book. This is How to Kill an Asteroid, the Real Science of Planetary Defense. And this is the cover they went with. I really like it. I must say, I really like it. So let's see what we have here for the autumn. You might be curious or unsettled to know there are approximately 25,000 city-killer asteroids in near-Earth orbit, and most are yet to be found. That's wrong. we're off to a shaky start. That's wrong on 2 points, and you astronomy buffs are going to know that. The number's higher than 25,000, but they're not in near-Earth orbit, unless you're counting near-Earth as anywhere in the solar system. But still, there are a lot of them, and most of them have not been seen. Most of them have not been tracked. Small enough to evade detection, they are capable of large-scale destruction and represent our greatest cosmic threat. No, no, they don't. That would be for a nearby stellar neighbor to go supernova. That is our greatest cosmic threat. That would end all life in the solar system, would sterilize the solar system, if that happened. If that front swept through this solar system, that would wipe out everything. But in September of 2022, against all odds, NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, DART for short, deliberately crashed a spacecraft into a carefully selected city killer, altering the asteroid's orbit and proving that we stand a chance against them. I don't know how many of you watched that. There's incredible footage. I'm an old NASA junkie, so I watched it all. It's an amazing story. DART is an amazing story. In this book, award-winning science journalist Robin George Andrews, who was at DART Mission Control when it happened, reveals the development of the technology that made it possible, from spotting elusive asteroids and comets to figuring out their geological defenses and orchestrating a deflecting campaign. In a propulsive narrative that reads like a sci-fi thriller, hence the cover choice, Andrew tells the story of the planetary defense movement and introduces the international team of scientists and engineers now working to protect Earth. Now, I don't know about you, probably a lot of you feel differently, but when I read a book like this, I want the author to downplay the quirky biographies of the characters involved and tell me more about the science. And I know that I'm in the minority there. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks is a perfect example. That thing's still a bestseller. and it takes the opposite approach. So I know that I'm in the minority, but that's what I prefer. It sounds like this is going to be very much the opposite of that. Deeply researched and tenaciously reported. What kind of tenaciousness would you need? Unless you're saying some of it is classified, but then you wouldn't be able to write about it, right? That great scene from, what's the movie? Is it Deep Impact? I think it is Deep Impact, where the enterprising journalist thinks that she's discovered that that someone in the cabinet, in the U.S. cabinet, has an affair with a woman named Ellie, but it's actually not. When she catches up with the official, who's played by James Cromwell, she learns that it's not a woman; it's an asteroid. There it is classified until it isn't. Let's see here. A scientist turned journalist, Andrews is a spirited, erudite, and humorous guy delivering prose that is, quote, scholarly yet conversational, grounded yet cinematic. For space enthusiasts, this fascinating book will surely be as much a valuable resource as a heaping bowl of mind candy. And that is from Ferris Jabber, the author of Becoming Earth. Okay, fantastic. So this comes out on October 1st. Great. So, How to Kill an Asteroid. DART did not kill an asteroid, but it did the next best thing. It certainly did what we would need it to do. And then, oh, great. Oh, fantastic. All right. Oh, aren't you a tiny little thing? Oh, you're a wee little thing. How many pages are you? 288 pages. So 250 minus your good suit. Okay, well, it could be. This is by Richard Munson, and this is called Ingenious, a biography of Benjamin Franklin, scientist. So maybe not the rest of Franklin's life. Maybe that's how it gets to be so short. This comes out in November. I don't have a sheet for this one. Benjamin Franklin was one of the preeminent scientists of his time, largely forgotten, but true. Driven by curiosity, he conducted cutting-edge research on electricity, heat, ocean currents, weather patterns, chemical bonds, and plants. But today, Franklin is remembered more for his political prowess and diplomatic achievements than for his scientific creativity. This is true. Oh, is this going to redress that? That would be wonderful. In this book, the author recovers this vital part of Franklin's story, revealing his modern relevance, and offers a compelling portrait of a shrewd experimenter, clever innovator, and visionary physicist, whose fame opened doors to negotiate French support and funding for American independence. Okay, but you don't want to talk about... Well, his fame, I guess, was based on that. But his fame was also based on how he behaved in Paris. Munson's riveting narrative explores how science underpins Franklin's entire story, from tradesman to inventor to nation founder. Okay, I'm totally on board. Any Franklin book, I'm totally on board. Fantastic. We'll see how that differs from just a soup to nuts biography, which I don't think we're going to get this year. I don't think we're getting a full-dress Franklin biography in 2024. So this might be the closest thing that we got to it. And then we've got the box. Let's see what the box has to offer. A couple of padded envelopes in there. That's good. I can actually use those. Let's see. Oh, more books. Oh, fantastic. Oh, all right. Well, this is only two packages, but it's a lot of books. Oh, great. Okay. All right. This comes out in September. This is collected occasional prose of Evan Boland, citizen poet. The late Evan Boland, whose poetry is so good. So good. This is prose stuff, most of which I'm sure I've never read. Let's see. I don't have a sheet for this either, but let's see what this is. So, a landmark volume of essays from Ireland, from who the New York Times Book Review calls Ireland's leading feminist poet. Don't let the feminist part put you off, though. This is the good kind of feminist, not the bad kind of feminist. Her poetry is wonderful. Evan Boland was a trailblazing poet, critic, teacher, and essayist. Her writing shifted the conversation on how women redefined poetry in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, both in Ireland and abroad. This generous and wise volume contains essays selected from the 2 volumes she published during her lifetime, Object Lessons in 1995 and A Journey with 2 Maps in 2011. Major later writings addressing the changing nature of poetry, the poet and Ireland, and an unpublished draft of Daughter, an extended lyric essay that she was working on at the time of her death. How incredible. What an invaluable thing. What an invaluable collection. With a compelling blend of memoir, analysis, and argument, Citizen Poet traces the arc of her pioneering view of nationhood through the lens of womanhood. Carving a path for the next generation, she broke open the male-dominated canon of Irish literature and mapped her poetic journey through the contours of life as a mother, daughter, and citizen. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's great. I'm very much looking forward to this thing. But whoever wrote this cover copy, when they say carving a path for the next generation, she broke open the male-dominated canon of Irish literature. When I read that line, I want to find the person who wrote that, sit them down away from Wikipedia and say, what women did write Irish literature in the late 20th and early 21st century? Because that line can only be written by someone who thinks that none of them did. But nevertheless, male-dominated, certainly. I just broke open implies that there were no others, that was closed until she came along. She would have been the first to deny that. But fantastic. Oh, my God. A whole book of writings that I've not read. How incredible. And what else have we got here? Somebody sent me a care package. That's wonderful. The folks at Norton, I swear. Well, they're my favorite publisher, as I've said many times on this channel, so that's just great that they take care of me. Let's see here. I should point out, you already know I'm preaching to the choir, and so do they. They also know it. They take care of me. But the books have to sink or swim on their own. As you know, even people who don't like me would have to admit that. I'm not a cheerleading critic. There are plenty of cheerleading critics out there. If you like cheerleading critics, there are plenty of cheerleading booktubers. There are plenty of people who are connected to the industry in one way or another who are cheerleaders rather than junkyard dogs. If you like them, that's fine. They serve a purpose. They certainly make readers, which, bless them for that. But I'm not that, and everybody at Norton knows that, and you all know that. I'm praising them for sending me a care package on a warm, sunny day, but the books have to sink or swim on their own. As long as we've covered that, because there are new people here. Let's see. So this next one is by Serhii Cloky, who is great. He has never written a book I didn't love. Really, you cannot go wrong with his backlist at your library or at your bookstore. He specializes in Russian history. And his new one is Chernobyl Roulette, War in the Nuclear Disaster Zone, which I think a lot of you will remember from the headlines when Russia's aggressive land war in Ukraine started approaching Chernobyl. So what have we got here? This comes out in early September. Oh, these are all out of my reach. The author, a leading historian of the Cold War and Ukrainian history, his book on Ukraine is great, reviews events in both the Russo-Ukrainian War and the Chernobyl nuclear disaster to sound the alarm about the dangers of nuclear sites in a time of heightened conflict. The Chernobyl site doesn't have dangers on its own. In peacetime, it's already a ticking time bomb. There are 440 such sites around the globe today, and Russia's aggression against Ukraine will not be the last war in human history. I'm not going to take the bait. A harrowing account of Russia's occupation of the Chernobyl and Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plants. The story of the men and women of Chernobyl is more than recent history. It is also a glimpse into the not-so-distant future. Incredible. Incredible. Now, this is not a long book. We have, again, a slim little thing. This is 250 pages. But I bet this gets reviewed everywhere. Everywhere. Especially in light of the stuff that you and I don't know. I'm making this video on the 21st of June. This book comes out in, what did we say? September? Yeah, September 9th. Who knows what will happen in the Russo-Ukraine war between now and then? Who knows what will happen? But right now, the breached reactor at Chernobyl is in what is called a sarcophagus, a gigantic containment building. And Russian troops wouldn't care at all about smashing that open. And if that smashes open, we're all in a lot of trouble. This is going to get reviewed everywhere, I think, especially depending on events that we don't know yet. Let's see what this next one is. We've got sheets for all of these. That's good. All right, so this also comes out in September. What is this? Oh, fantastic. Okay, this is by Mark Gilbert, and it is called Italy Reborn, From Fascism to Democracy. So this is a little bit bigger. This is 450 pages. What have we got here? The rebirth of Italy after the Second World War is one of the most impressive political transformations in modern European history. In 1945, post-fascist Italy was devastated by war, and its reputation in the international arena was nil. Yet by December 1955, when Italy was admitted to the United Nations, the nation had contested 3 acrimonious but free general elections, had a flourishing press, and was a leader in the rebuilding of Europe. This is the dramatic story of that story. The author expertly charts the descent of Italy into fascism, the scale of the wartime disaster, the Italian resistance to Nazi occupation, the horrors of civil war, and the establishment of the Republic in 1946. Okay, you're not going to spend too long on the country's descent into fascism, right? This is a great subject. It takes 10 times the space that you have here. You're not going to spend too long on the Nazis, right? Are you going to do? I hope not. The book's final chapters deal with the consolidation of Italian democracy and with the statesmanship of Gasperi, the premier from December 1945 to August 1953, and persuasively argues that Gasperi deserved more credit than he's typically accorded for Italy's post-war democratization. Oh, okay. All right, well, that's good. But that means this is not going to be. This is going to be about fascist Italy, not Italy Reborn. You're saying at the end of the book is that. Yeah, the book has 2 200-page parts to it, and the first 200 pages is World War II. Descent into fascism, Mussolini, and then World War II. Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it, especially if the author's good. I'll take it. A little bit disappointing. I would have preferred 500 pages on Italy Reborn. Maybe the author is interested in this subject, which would make the book interesting, I hope. Or maybe, this will... Having World War II in here, having Mussolini in here makes this a better candidate to sell. I don't know. A little bit of 3-card Monty there with the title. And then we'll do the last one here. Oh my. Okay. This comes out in September. This is a new novel by Richard Powers. This is Playground. What a cover. Good Lord. Look at that. Shiny letters and a giant manta ray. What? How amazing. All right. What have we got here? A monumental new novel from Richard Powers. It's not that monumental. It's the slimmest thing he's done in years. As significant in scope as The Overstory. Oh, I very much doubt that. The Overstory. Such a conflicted book. I think it's so obviously a masterpiece. Yet I get plenty of people, I see plenty of people on BookTube and off BookTube who dismiss it reflexively as, oh, it's a book about trees. I don't get that. I don't understand. It's so obviously a masterpiece. I don't understand when critics don't, when ordinary people, not just, plenty of critics don't like it, but when ordinary readers read it and think, that's just a book about trees. No, no, it's not. But anyway, this book captures the beauty and loss of the ocean, following 4 lives. Okay, so very much the Powers playbook here. A marine biologist, an artist, a school teacher, and an AI pioneer as they intersect on an island in French Polynesia. Well, I know that the islands of French Polynesia used to have a certain reputation, shall we say, but I'm sure that these characters meet on that island and not intersect. I hope. We'll see. Maybe Richard Powers is breaking new ground as he gets a little older. I'm sure he still looks boyish, though. No matter how old he gets, I'm sure he looks boyish. Like Updike. He never really looked old. Set in the world's largest ocean, the novel explores the last wild place we have yet to colonize in a still unfolding oceanic game, and interweaves beautiful writing, rich characterization, profound themes of technology and the environment, and a deep exploration of our shared humanity in a way that only Richard Powers can. Okay, fantastic. How incredible. I love this author. I have loved this author for almost the whole of his career. In fact, pretty much for the whole of his career. I thought 3 Farmers on the Way to a Dance was incredible, and that was before I got to the Goldberg variation. The Goldberg Variations is incredible. The Goldberg Variations is a genuinely great novel. I mean, I just called The Overstory a masterpiece, but when I always talk on this channel about how there's a post-war canon, 1945 to 2025, for American fiction, if we say American fiction, there's a post-war canon, the Goldberg Variations would be on that list, and The Overstory would not. So I've loved this author up and down. I've loved him when he's weird, when he's caught up in his passions and isn't really taking a step back to realize that they don't make a good book. They don't make a good novel. And I've loved him at the times when he is completely in control of everything that he's doing. Same thing with Volman. Same thing with my beloved Mark Helprin. I follow their ups and downs, but I don't mind. They are great literary figures that I don't mind following. They are not like the mid-century misogynists where I followed everything they did and hated it all. So I find it all interesting, in other words. So I don't know what this is going to be. This comes out in late September, so I can't get to it right away. I can't justify it. I have June books still to do, for Pete's sakes, and June only has a week left. And then all of July and all of August. I can't justify it yet. But this is great. Just a pile of Norton books. So we have the new Richard Powers, Playground. We have Italy Reborn, about Italy's descent into and emergence out of fascism. We have Chernobyl Roulette by a terrific writer, a terrific living historian, which I guess is going to be about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster from, 60 years ago, but also about the current state of Chernobyl in the war between Russia and Ukraine, because that's where Chernobyl is located. Then we have Citizen Poet. How incredible. This is going to be amazing to read. We have Ingenious, a biography of Franklin, yes, but mainly Franklin as a scientist, which is an element that tends to get underplayed. Even in sweeping Franklin biographies, the authors tend to feel insecure. And finally, How to Kill an Asteroid. About steps, first of all, about planet killers and what they're like and how we even know they're out there and what kind of damage they could do, but also how we can do something about it with enough forewarning. Fantastic. So clearly, as always, Norton is going to have a great season. I wasn't really in any doubt of that. Once upon a time, book people used to dictate their buying this way. You get catalogs in the mail. If you were in Topeka, you didn't have a bookstore, so you'd get a catalog in the mail. You'd get a catalog from W.W. Norton, and you would just choose accordingly. You would pick from the catalog. And even after big chain bookstores proliferated everywhere, you still had people who would buy by publisher. It wasn't that you were looking for a certain subject or a certain author. It was that you were a fan of a publishing house. And that was because editors would go and stay for a long time, and they then press their vision on the lists of that publisher. That's not so true anymore. But with Norton, you can't go wrong. Almost you can't go wrong. You could be what I am. I'm a W.W. Norton fan. I'm a fan of their list. They're never going to let me down for interesting subject matter, no matter what. They have one book that I haven't received yet. Conspicuously absent from a gigantic care package of Norton titles, but I will get on that. I will wait until start a business on Monday, and I will get on that. But there you go. Fantastic books all down the line. Nothing right on the horizon. So on the horizon, I am stuck with rereading Southern Man and reading all about Tom Gunn. but anyway, this has gone on long enough. Sorry about that. This is a nice Friday mail haul for you. I'll wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.